Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for Thoughtcast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. How are you today, Steve?
Hello, it's good to be here. How are you doing?
I couldn't be doing any better. Today, we are joined by Heidi Herman, the author of the Hidden Vegetables Cookbook, 90 Tasty Recipes for Veggie-Averse Adults.
Yeah.
How are you, Heidi?
I'm well. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
excited to have you.
I was stoked for this. I've been looking forward to it all week, and I was so glad that we could make a time work. Yeah, this is super exciting. Heidi, where are you joining us from today?
I'm in South Dakota.
South
Yes.
Dakota. Right now, you're one thing I know that's in South Dakota.
Well, I happen to live a few miles away from the Laura Ingalls Wilder homestead. If you're a fan of the Little House on the Prairie books,
Okay.
that's true.
That's in De Smet. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm like a teeny bit of a Little House on the Prairie fan, but I haven't actually read the books, which I know is probably like, traitorous, but
That's okay. They're there for you anytime you want them.
yeah. A cookbook I have no problem sitting down with. I was actually just telling a friend today who recently released a book. I was like, could I buy a copy of your book and sponsor it and you could donate it to the library? And she's like, why wouldn't you just read it? I was like, if it's not audio, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't sit still. I can't do it. But anyway, well, Heidi, are you in South Dakota by way of elsewhere, or like where does your story begin?
I was born and raised in Illinois. That's where my parents settled. They had met during World War II. My mom was Icelandic, and my father was in the Navy. So that's where they met, and she immigrated to the United States. And born and raised in Illinois, I traveled around quite a bit. When I got married, I ended up in South Dakota. So that's where I'm at now. And
Amazing.
over the past 10 years, I started writing after I retired from my full-time corporate life. And I've done cookbooks, I've done kids books, I've done some women's fiction, and I just love pursuing the passion. And I suppose this cookbook you could call an anti-passion, because it's cooking, which I love, mixing with vegetables, which I don't so much love.
So out of all the things that you've authored, what was first?
The first one I ever did was a children's book called Legend of the Icelandic Yule Lads. And I did that one right after my mom, at the age of 88, she published her memoirs about growing up in Iceland.
Wow.
And that was one of the stories she told, is that there was no Santa Claus in Iceland. Still is not. Santa Claus doesn't visit Iceland. And instead they have these 13 trolls that play pranks and make mischief. Instead of waiting till Christmas Eve to get all your presents from Santa Claus, you get 13 gifts along the way. If you're not bad, if you're bad, you get a rotten potato. But yeah. So that was my first one. Yeah.
Having held a charcoal briquette in my hand and having smelled a rotten potato, I think I would prefer the lump of coal. There's something about a rotten potato. Woof. Like you reach into an old bag that's in the back of your pantry, and then your finger goes through one, and you're like, oh no, I'm out.
Yeah, that's the worst. And that's one of those scents that kind of lingers. Yeah, you got to work to get away.
Just that sweet rancid. Woof. It's that's rough. Heidi, what's the weather doing in South Dakota today?
We're still a little on the cool side, more than I would like. I'm old and I don't like the cold anymore. I go to Arizona to stay warm during the winter, and there's been frost on the ground every morning when I get up, and It only gets to the mid-50s right now. But we have had rain, which is fabulous. We needed it, so we're very thankful for that, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Over here in North Carolina today, it is in the 60s and gloomy and a little bit gray outside.
Yeah.
Steve, what are you doing over in Texas?
Surprisingly, we're going through our cold front right now. So I want to say in a couple of days it'll get back up to like the hundreds, but we're high 60s, low 70s. No complaints.
Nice. Heidi, I'm like you. If I stay in the house, I'm wrapped in a blanket and a shawl and have a hoodie, and I'm just like I'm suddenly cold intolerant at age 40, where I always was hot all the time, and now it's completely switched. So,
Well, I have a burning question for you.
Do it, Steve.
What's the most amazing thing that you had to eat this week?
This week, oh my goodness, so many choices. I experimented with something new and it turned out unexpectedly awesome, and I got a little obsessed with it. And it was a rhubarb based barbecue sauce.
Ooh,
Really?
I love rhubarb.
Me too. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it just it has this lovely tang with a little sweetness, and it was intended to be a barbecue sauce, but it turned out to be one of those things that you just start dipping everything in it and go, oh, that's amazing.
It sounds so good.
Nice. Melissa, what about you?
Well, I have a couple of choices here. I had a yogurt parfait for lunch, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. It had like 50 grams of protein in it, but I think my favorite part of it was a piece of homemade funfetti cake I used as the base. A couple of nights ago, I just made myself 2 cakes 2 nights in a row because I'm an adult and I can do that. So one was chocolate cake with sprinkles and one was funfetti. Nothing crazy and no diabetic substitutions, no hidden protein powder or cottage cheese or anything, like just regular old cake.
Sometimes
because I can. Yeah, it was really good, but I combined it with like yogurt and a lot of other goodies, and I was like made this big parfait. The other thing is I tried my hand at homemade lunch meat over the weekend. I didn't like shove a bunch of raw meat into a tube and boil it. Like I don't own a meat slicer, but I kind of like took like the lo-fi approach to it. I bought a turkey breast, brined it, seasoned it, and then slow roasted it and just thin sliced it for sandwiches. Not that I have anything against lunch meat, but I was like, I kind of want to like try. Really, really good. Can't complain. Like had a huge sandwich with it just yesterday, and pickles, cheese, lettuce, tomato, all that business. So really tasty.
Nice.
How about you, Steve?
So we smoked and we braised some lamb shanks, and it started off with I've done a bunch of lamb shanks before. Like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do differently? So I was gonna go like Greek style, and then I figured we're just gonna keep the barbecue kind of thing going, and then we ended up making like a French dip out of that. So we cooked down all of that liquid, added a little bit of like some barbecue sauce to it to really enhance the flavor. So you do get a lot of that smoke, but like you also got like the sweet, the tangy, the savory, all that stuff. So overall, I'd make that again.
Sounds so good. I haven't had a French dip sandwich in a long time.
Yeah. Like I say, you're just trying to figure out like, well, what can I do that's different? And then AI takes over and they're like, why don't you do this? So it helps.
Heidi's sworn enemy in AI.
It has its purpose.
It does. I think it has its uses. I like how I will frequently ask AI to be like, make me a shopping list and tell me which one's cheaper, Aldi or Walmart. And it just spits out all the data because it runs on data, and it can do that. But yeah, it'll never replace my feelings. Heidi, I want to talk about the book. I was so excited about this. Yes. Thank you for being so gracious and sending this to us. You mentioned that you don't like vegetables. So how did this journey start? This kind of seems like a if you can't beat them, join them type enterprise with the vegetables. So
or if you can't love them, hide them, or something.
Conceal.
It's one of those things, like you say, I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want, and that kind of changes it. My mom just never served very many vegetables when I was growing up. Partly because our heritage in Iceland, they just didn't have very many when she was growing up in the 30s and 40s. And coming to America, then I think by the time I was born, she was heavy into a career and we just didn't have those dinners every night. I was just one of the, I guess I slipped through the cracks and nobody ever told me I had to eat my vegetables. So I didn't. And, by the time you hit your 20s, it's sort of, for me, it was set, and I had that mindset. Well, I don't like them. I'm not going to eat them. and years go by, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're 40 and say, I really have to eat healthier or at least more nutritious. The healthier part is easy to, I'm going to get rid of refined sugar. I'm going to, not use seed oils. I'm going to watch my cholesterol, those type of things. But you have your things to eliminate, but then you've got that core things you have to add. You got to have the nutrition, and taking a handful of supplements or powder every day that you really don't even know how they were made. That's not optimal. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, this was I'm an adult and get to do what I want, compromise.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
going to make them taste the way I'm going to make them taste the way I want. I'm going to conceal them in the things I like to eat type
Exactly.
situation,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
I'm definitely guilty of not eating enough vegetables. I absolutely love them. And if you put a vegetable tray in front of me, I would devour it. But it is just a matter of like, if it's not right in front of me in the fridge, and if it's not ready to grab, I won't take advantage. And then at work every week, I try to eat either green beans or asparagus like every single day. And I'll have a salad once in a while. But like, yeah, there's no way I'm eating enough vegetables. And I actually like them and know how to cook all of them. So it's a shame, but it just comes down to time. So
it really does. And I suppose that is definitely the advantage for someone like me who now lives in South Dakota. It's asparagus season. You get to go straight outside and go to the asparagus patch and pick what you need for the day.
See,
you want to talk
like
about
vegetables.
like, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I would say I like vegetables. I try to eat them with almost every meal, but like it's the same thing. Like if it's not there, I'm not thinking about it. But I eat them because they're good for you. Notice how the eye roll just a little bit when I say that.
Steve hates green beans, Heidi.
You know what? I could happily live my whole life without another green bean.
But have you ever had it
you.
deep
See,
fried and dipped in ranch though?
I'm not alone.
You're really missing out. So I have like quite the opposite kind of like love affair with vegetables. I like them for the reasons that people don't. Like I like cucumbers for that squeaky, chewy, crunchy, watery, like I love all those like weird, quirky qualities that vegetables have that are like turnoffs to other people. People like, I don't like beets because they taste like dirt. I'm like, oh, these are so interestingly dirty tasting, like I think everybody's just for sure like wired differently, but I like that like umami, earthy, iron rich flavor of a beet that will turn other people off. You know what I mean? Like
that's awesome.
Yeah. But I know it's not the case for everybody. I have an aunt who it's a texture. They can't make it past here. She can't swallow. She can't eat salad. She can't eat raw vegetables. Like it doesn't happen. And like I said, my brother, he won't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
We're twins. I went to culinary school. That was not my path in life, was to not eat vegetables. He eats meat, cheese, and bread. So that's it.
Hopefully he sneaks in the nutritional factor in somewhere.
I don't know. He's getting it from somewhere, I'm sure. But as much as protein was the superstar in a couple of years past of like wellness influencing, I've said for me personally, this is the year of fiber, and trying to get it from as many vegetable sources as possible. So, yeah,
that's great.
All right, well, tell us about the book. Like, how did this come about? Who inspired you? Was it just for your own journey, or like how did it happen?
It definitely started out being my own journey. Me altering recipes to add in ways that I could eat healthier. And every now and then I would have something that would bring it to a potluck or add it to a dinner party or something. And people would go, oh, no, this is interesting. What is this? And, like I would make a wild rice with Brussels sprouts and honey walnuts. And, to have these, long grain rice, and there's some kind of weird crunch to it, but it's sweet. And, oh yeah, that's Brussels sprouts. And, probably half the people in the room go, ew. But
Yeah.
oh, I don't like Brussels sprouts, but I like this. And just talking through it, it is amazing how many people either don't like vegetables or know somebody who doesn't. And I thought, well, I could sure share these recipes. Some of them are pretty easy. Things that other people have heard of, adding beets to brownies and zucchini to cake. Those are very simple to do.
Yeah. It makes the best chocolate bread, zucchini.
It does, yes.
So good.
Yes. It just adds so much to
The
it.
moisture. Yeah.
That's the only way I eat zucchini now. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't eat it at all.
Steven.
Yep. But it's kind of fun when I decided to try to expand what I had done for myself and say, oh, I wonder if I could create a cookbook on this, and then deliberately add, and fill out into sauces and jellies and appetizers and breakfast. And then it became a really fun project to do, to see how many different varieties of things I could put in there, and how I could make it more appealing for more people.
I love the idea of the broccoli bread. I want to make a sandwich on the broccoli bread with my roasted turkey. It sounds incredible. I mean, I love broccoli, so there's not like it's not hiding it from me, but man, it's just, there's a lot of neat stuff in here. I love it.
Sometimes it's not necessarily the hiding of it, but
Sure.
just finding a unique way of putting it in there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, a book like this, like you're really thinking outside the box and like really pushing limits and things like that. Did you or was this just very easy for you, or did you like have times where you were just kind of like, okay, I'm stuck and think, I know when I did mine, I had that problem,
Oh, I'll be completely honest. When it comes to creativity stuff, I don't get stuck very often. I just, when I'm with some of my authors groups, you always have people in two camps, those who are like, oh, I hate it when I get writer's block. And then you have the other camp that just swears, do not give me a prompt because I have too many ideas in my head already.
Yeah.
And I think I fall into that second camp. And with this, I sort of had to draw a line in the sand because it could have easily been 300 recipes in here. Just because once you get going, it's just, for me, it was so much fun that I just wanted a reasonable place to stop.
I think this is a really good size. I think it's a very approachable amount of recipes in here. So I think you stopped at the right place.
Thanks.
Yeah. I say sometimes, I've received a lot of cookbooks in my life. And sometimes you get ones and they're like this big and you're like, I don't even know where to start. Like nothing about that makes me want to open it, So.
I will admit I have some of that size, and they have lots and lots of colored flags on certain pages.
Yeah.
And I think I've narrowed it down to maybe 15 out of, numerous hundreds that I'll probably use on a regular basis. But some of them make great doorstops just because they've got such volume to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's massive. You're like, well, this is a nice paperweight and has 4 recipes in it that I've used before.
Mm-hmm.
Also, hey, I can't tell you the last time I ate kohlrabi.
Oh.
It's probably been more than 20 years. I'm like, I'm just excited to buy it, to do something with it. But rutabagas are underutilized. Kohlrabi is underutilized. And what I really like is you have these insert spots throughout the book. My filter is getting drowned out. Where you have some informative stuff. And what I especially love is that there's no demonizing of frozen vegetables in here. Because sometimes it's what people have access to.
Sometimes it's what you have access to. It's so easy to grab it at the grocery store, and you've got it in the freezer, and the fact that you can make it in 90 seconds in the microwave, sometimes that's how you have to make supper. It's just
Oh, the cowboy beans. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
How long did it take for you to come up with all the recipes and go from like idea to getting this published?
I would say when I first got serious about all these recipes that I tend to use, I wonder how many I have. I think the ones that I tend to use on a regular basis that are part of my rotation, I think probably 35 of them maybe is what I started with. And then after that, it was thought process going like, well, I haven't actually done that before, but oh yeah, that'd be an easy thing to do. Lasagna is an excellent example. I tend to make lasagna a very traditional way. Meat lasagna, I don't really put vegetables in it, but a lot of people will add steamed spinach to their lasagna. And when they layer it, they just put the steamed spinach. And as somebody who doesn't really love vegetables, when you take a bite of it, sometimes you get the slimy chunk in there. So, but it makes it so much easier if you go that extra step after you steam it, just puree it and mix it with the ricotta cheese, and then it spreads, and then you don't have any chunks or lumps. And that was a super easy recipe to just create because I took my basic lasagna recipe. And so a number of them I did like that. And I'm just like, oh, well, I make beef bourguignon so much. Well, I can add 3 extra vegetables that I don't normally add. And that, so some of them were pretty easy. I would say I did some research to deliberately search out some base recipes, especially for appetizers. That was one area where I don't really do a lot with vegetables with appetizers. And I beefed up the dessert section too. But
do you have a favorite vegetable and a least favorite?
Favorite vegetable.
What's the one you like the least?
I mean,
well, I've pretty much figured out ways to work with most of them. I will admit, in the long grain rice, that's about the only way I can eat Brussels sprouts. I have not found any other way, and I have experimented so many different things. My husband has called multiple experiments a terrible thing to do to bacon. Because you think if you add bacon to Brussels sprouts, and it has not worked out well. So that is definitely one I don't care for. Ones that are very tolerable for me: asparagus, green peas, carrots, sweet potatoes, especially if they're like white sweet potatoes. Those are much more tolerable.
Yeah.
When you get into the spinach and the kale, those, are a really strong flavor. There's nothing I can do for them if they're raw. No, but as long as I steam them and puree them, it's amazing. Keep the liquid with it and everything. You can pretty much do anything you want with those, and you can't taste it.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. One of my favorite parts about this book is this section with the core recipes, because I think you've taken a lot of great care to understand that if somebody doesn't usually cook vegetables, they might not have any way to approach them. They might not have any idea about where to start. So, Stephen, I don't know if you got a chance to look through it as well, but from like 26 to 54 or 55 in this book, there is just every single way how to peel it, how to dice it, how to store it, which I think is so important, because if somebody doesn't eat them, they might have no idea, Yeah.
And a lot of that came from my personal experience as well, because when I started that dedicated effort, at first going to the grocery store, what does a kohlrabi even look like? And, is this something that I'm supposed to leave in the plastic bag? Do I put it in the refrigerator? Do I set it on the counter? The idea, I think I was in my 30s before I figured out you don't put potatoes and onions in the same drawer together.
Oh, no.
It just things that, once you get past, well, I mean, I'm old enough that I had home ec, in high school, where they kind of teach you some basics of the kitchen, but there still were a lot of things about vegetables. I didn't know which ones you wash before you put them away and which ones you leave alone, and how long they'll actually last once you peel them or puree them.
By the time I got to home ec in 2002, it was an absolute joke. They called it bachelor survival, which I think is just like a complete misnomer. As a single 40-year-old, I'm like, that was a terrible name for this. We learned how to make pancakes. That was about it. We made pancakes like 50 times, probably. So, yeah. Learned how to clean a stove, but we learned how to make pancakes.
We always just had snacks in ours, so no complaints. That's the only reason why I took that class, was because you get to cook and eat, snacks, banana bread, things like that. So no complaints.
Yeah. The one project I remember most at a home ec is when we took a boxed cake mix, and we had probably 6 groups. And one group doubled up on the eggs, and one group eliminated the eggs and added extra oil. And one group, each one changed it slightly so we could see the difference and taste the difference. So you start to understand the impact that your ingredients have in your end product. And I think that's great. We need more of that, because we really do need to cook more homemade food, more from fresh, real ingredients. And it's so much better. And sometimes it does take a little longer, but like whenever I make Salisbury steak, I always make a big batch, so there'll be leftovers, and we'll have that 2 or 3 times. And I love that when I have a couple of different options of leftovers in the fridge, because I don't have to make a fresh supper. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's so much better the second day or the third day.
Yeah, some things just do get better after a couple of days. I can't remember the last time I had Salisbury steak. I want to eat it really bad right now. It sounds so good.
Yeah. So people who have no idea about your book, I guess, so there's a lot of information, and I think that's just really, really good. Now, if someone's picking it up and they're like, okay, do you just recommend from start to finish? Do you have anywhere jump around in this book and let's check out this, or what's your approach to a book like that?
Well, I would say if somebody wants to, hey, this sounds pretty cool. Me or someone I know, we need to eat more vegetables. Yeah, let's give that a shot. I would say you're always most successful when you do something that's closest to what your normal routine already is. Like if you normally just, have toast and eat it in the car on the way out, I wouldn't say, oh yeah, start with the breakfast section and put that extra 20 minutes into your morning by making fresh muffins every morning. That's going to, be a big undertaking. But if you normally make a homemade dinner once or twice a week, start with that section. And, once you have all different vegetables prepped up, like my core section, I walk through the process of how to select things like kale or spinach, and then how to prepare it, how to have it pureed, and just I tend to portion it up into the freezer and just have those ready. Or cauliflower is a great one to rice that up and then have that ready. Speaking of breakfast, I put those in banana muffins with cauliflower and a little bit of ginger. The ginger makes all the difference in the world.
Ginger and banana goes so well together. It's kind of that tropical and then sweet and spicy. I love ginger in a carrot muffin, or a morning glory muffin, zucchini, or hummingbird cake, whatever it is. Ginger is a really neat thing to add. I think cauliflower is kind of it kind of had its moment, right, where it was trying to be rice and it was trying to be mashed potatoes and pizza and tortillas and whatever. But at the end of the day, cauliflower is really an unsung hero in an application where you can puree it. like I know several people who use frozen yellow squash and cauliflower or frozen zucchini in smoothies. You could mask that with berries and chocolate.
100%.
So it's
Yeah.
so good. So good. It purees really well.
Mhm. And if you do use it in that rice application, you have all that lovely liquid that you've kind of squeezed out of it. Too many people throw that away. It's like, no, you got to keep that. Put that in your smoothies. And I have a whole section in the whole page that we've dedicated, whether it's cauliflower or zucchini. You're going to run into the same thing with both of them. They have all that excess liquid that's just packed with all kinds of nutrients. And anything that you use water for in the kitchen, whether you're, making tea or condensed soup or anything that you're adding water to while you're cooking, add that instead, because then you're just getting that double duty on great nutrition.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of that like the art that we're losing out on is kind of, we've not lived through my generation has not lived through a Great Depression, right? Like we had the economic recession in 2008, but like we're really, really quick and fast to throw things out because we've never had to keep them to survive, right? Because everything's very convenient. So it's not hardwired into all of us to just keep every single thing to reuse or to use in something else. So I just think it's really important. I think one of the really fun things in here is I've just gotten back into like canning and preserving. And so I really want to make this beet jelly. So do you know if it will also can? Like if I wanted to water bath, can it? Okay, perfect.
Oh yeah. I usually, I don't know if I to put my favorite, because I always make my beet strawberry.
Oh, it sounds so good.
Nice.
Yeah. I in the recipe, I say unsweetened fruit juice or fresh strawberries. I always use strawberries. And I've had some that I canned 2 years ago. It's fabulous.
I love it. Oh,
Wow.
I
And
can't
for
wait.
some reason, it just brings out the strawberry flavor so much stronger than what you think it would. So yeah, that one's good. And also the carrot jelly.
I was gonna say, and so like getting a lot of these vegetables like in these foods that again people typically don't do. It sounds like you've really got a good like you're very well established on layering flavors. Like did that just come naturally, or do you feel like it took some work to do?
I suppose it was deliberate because I tried to pair the vegetables with something else that had either a stronger flavor or tangier or something that would definitely make that vegetable take a backseat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose that layering was deliberate, but it wasn't for the layering. It was for more the masking or overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heidi, what did you grow up eating?
Oh, as a kid, I can remember one of my favorite breakfasts. I don't know why. It just was a thing. Like most kids, typical cereal, occasionally, toast. I loved milk toast though. I know it's very bizarre, but it was just one of my things I love. But, sandwiches, anything quick, peanut butter and jelly, is always a staple. Grilled cheese. I was always a grilled cheese and tomato soup kind of. My mom would like to make big dinners on Sundays, chicken and biscuits or lasagna or something like that. But a lot of times they work, so it was quick dinners, frozen pizza, typical stuff for the 80s.
Anything Icelandic end up in there, or like anything that was particularly like ethnic like specialty in your family?
Not when I was a kid. At Christmas time, my mom would make coffee cakes. A lot of times the cardamom in there was the Icelandic flavoring. But it wasn't until I think it was 2018 maybe that it was a couple years after my mom had written her memoirs about growing up in Iceland, and we started doing festivals. So many people were interested in Iceland that we did do a cookbook for Icelandic foods. And it was 25 of her hometown favorites that she remembered from being a little girl. One of them is the Icelandic brown bread. We had gone and translated all the recipes from Icelandic and then converted them to US measurements, and in some cases had to substitute some of the ingredients because they just weren't available. The Icelandic brown bread, the recipe that we translated was so old, it actually called for hartshorn. And
What is that?
a precursor of baking soda, baking powder.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Scrapings off elk horn or something like that. Yeah. But the brown bread recipe was a list of ingredients and it just said mix bake, and I'm like, I think I'm going to need a little bit more of this, Mom, what did I translate wrong here? And she looked at it and she said, no, that's right. And so apparently what they do is they would mix this and you'd put it into an old coffee can, because back then they had metal coffee cans, and they put it on a string and put it down in the hot springs. Wow. Leave it down there for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever. You do what you needed to do for the day. And when you came back, then you'd pull it up. And since there was, so much moisture in those hot springs and it was a fairly level temperature, it never burns. So
like geothermal,
yeah,
sauna steamed bread. That is insane. That's amazing.
So we cook it at 250 degrees for about 3 hours, but I have figured out if you let it go 3.5, 4, it really doesn't hurt it much. Yeah.
That is my kind of recipe. I forgot. I was watching TikTok and I still didn't burn it. That is
still didn't burn it.
Kind of deal.
Mix bake,
The older the cookbook, the less instructions you will typically find, because it was assumed that you already knew what to do with ingredients.
Yeah. And to be able to add them in any order, and as long as it's not like meringue or something, just to be able to dump it in there and mix it, and it turns out fine. And that's my kind of cooking,
Yeah. I like it. I don't fancy myself much of a baker, but I do like to bake from time to time. But I'll do what I call rebel baking. Oh, don't have this? Fine, we'll use this. We'll just see how it turns out. Great. Oh, I don't have this? I know I'm not going to the store. I'm already comfortable for the day. I'm in pajamas. Okay, I'm just gonna sub this and figure out what happens. So
it usually comes out good.
Usually does. It usually does. Yeah. I pick a low stakes recipe, a pound cake. It's really hard to mess up.
Yeah.
So muffins, very forgiving. Cupcakes, very forgiving.
That's awesome. Yeah. And everybody, that's the other thing that I hope is a takeaway from this, is that it's okay to experiment. If there's something you absolutely hate, don't put it in there. Put something else in there. Not everybody likes poppy seed or garlic or whatever it is that you don't like. You just put something in there that you do like, and see what happens.
Yeah, I think people are less willing to take risks with the price of groceries, but I also think that's it makes it even more important for people to have a really basic foundational set of cooking skills, so that they know how to pivot when something doesn't go right, so that it's not automatically a bust.
Oh yeah. You don't want to make something that's so awful you have to throw it away. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so you just kind of know how to save it in those situations, or how to change it, or how to repurpose it. And Heidi, when this is all said and done, I want to send you a copy of Chef Steve's cookbook. And I know that I'll let him speak to it, but I know that it was part of his goal has been to give people confidence in the kitchen. So yeah,
that is an awesome goal.
Yeah, I think I did pretty decent with that. A lot of people have told me your recipes are easy to follow. And when I was going through your book, your recipes are just really easy to follow, step by step. And it's awesome. I love books like that. I've picked up a few books over the years where it's, the recipes, the steps, they just don't make sense. And it's even someone like me who's been cooking, 20 years professionally, it's what's going on here, books that are just so easy to follow, and like they break them down. And again, like I said, with your book, it's very similar to mine in the sense of like you explain everything, you walk everyone through it. So even people who don't know how to cook are like, I got this.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. We should have everybody in America feel comfortable with making at least a couple of core dishes in the kitchen. Always.
100%. Heidi, what are those for you?
Oh, my go-tos. I am absolutely a muffin girl. I have like 3 core muffin recipes that, are there all the time. I would say probably Salisbury steak. That's, multiple times a month I'll make that. Yeah, I'm big on cookies. I'll always have cookies in the cookie jar.
See, I wish I could do that, but my doctor's kind of against that one for me. So I got to watch it just a little bit.
Monk fruit.
That's one I could do. I can totally do monk fruit, but like I said, Melissa and I, like, we love eating. So like we always, or, at least for myself, like I go all out on my recipes. And so it's like, okay, is it now like that I'm pushing 40, things like that, and watching my health? I'm like, is my doctor going to get after me for this one, or is my blood sugar going to just go crazy? So yeah.
I had the same thing. I'm pushing 60. So having to stay away from that refined sugar, monk fruit has been a lifesaver, because I have the brown sugar version and the granulated sugar version and the powdered sugar version.
Yeah.
I know earlier in the episode you were saying like it's the easy part's cutting out all the refined stuff, and I was like, that's the hardest part for me. Like I can do it, but that's hard. Even now, like my wife was talking about earlier today, my wife was talking about getting cookies and things like that. And it's like, I'm good without it. If it's not in front of me, I'm fine. But as the moment that they get right in front of me, that's where I'm like, okay, we're going to start eating all these cookies, and we're not going to stop until they're gone.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
The thing about so I made this funfetti cake on Sunday night, because I wanted some, and I happened to have almond extract in the house, which is like the secret to making the funfetti taste like funfetti. And the only change I made to it, which I didn't have to, it works for me, is I just put half the sugar in it. And I knew that I was going to eat it with like vanilla yogurt. So it wasn't that I wasn't going to like let myself have the cake without yogurt, or that I put some stipulation on it. I just put less. I put less sugar. It's okay. Nobody else is going to eat it except for me. So nobody's going to be around like, it's not sweet enough to be cake. It's bread. I don't care. It has sprinkles in it. It has sprinkles in it. It's bringing me joy. It's all that matters. So bringing me joy. I love using monk fruit. I have really, really enjoyed also using, like, sometimes I'll use pureed pineapple in muffins for sweetener. I muffined too close to the sun recently. I was doing a muffin of the week every week for like the last 5 months, and I can't look at another muffin for a little while. I can't.
Okay.
I can't. It's too much of a good thing, right? Like
that's a lot. That's a lot.
I was really on it. I was doing like banana strawberry oat, and then I would do like banana nut this, or I would do like apple walnut. I did pumpkin mincemeat. I was doing apple bran, and then all of a sudden I looked at a muffin and was like, no, thank you. No,
the phase was done.
No, thank you. Yeah, the time had passed. I was like, let's shelf this one for a little bit. The cheeseburger pockets remind me of this other recipe that I'm familiar with called chicken bundles. The same idea, but you use crescent roll dough and you use a picked rotisserie chicken on the inside. But it's like totally the same idea. You can grate a carrot, you can grate a zucchini, a little cream cheese in there, regular cheese. Totally the same idea. I love a cheeseburger pocket, though. I used to have them at a lot of gatherings that I would go to for this a fandom group that I was in, and they were a big hit. Man, I love a cheeseburger pocket. You're making me hungry. Like, I have to go to work after this. I'm not going to get to eat until about 11 o'clock tonight. And I'm starving already just thinking about the stuff I want to make for this book. So I can't wait until my next grocery shop.
Fabulous. All right.
Well, Heidi, as an author that didn't start with a cookbook, was it just like, did you have to flip your mindset just a little bit? You didn't have a plot, right? You didn't have characters. You didn't have a story outline. Like, did your creative approach change, or like, did you find that it like scratched a different itch in another part of your brain, or like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it was completely different. Because, the days of throwing a bunch of recipes together in alphabetical order and printing it on a 6x9, paperback, you can't do that anymore. I mean, the church lady groups would do that back in the 70s and 80s for a fundraiser and that, but it's more complicated than that. And for me, I felt like that would only be telling half the story because I wanted to speak to encourage people to use vegetables in ways they hadn't before. Then I had to take the step back and say, okay, so we need to talk about choosing vegetables and storing them. And now we have to talk about kitchen tools and, all the different ways we have to prepare them and then how we store them afterward. And so I kind of ended up having fun with it, talking about, my Viking heritage. And that's really where my dislike of vegetables sort of sprung from. So they
didn't eat them, right?
We did not eat them, no, because they just weren't available.
Had a use for what they had, and they figured out how to, survive with what it was, right? They had to make the best of what they had, and they weren't around, so they evolved to not need them. Which, I mean, there's not a right or wrong there, right? Like, I think it's interesting. People can kind of virtue signal healthy eating, where it's like, well, we haven't always had this many vegetables available in like mankind, right? Like, we have not always used to be where you lived. If it didn't grow where you lived, you didn't eat it, and it didn't make you like better or worse than the other person, right?
Yeah. So, no, they ate a lot more fish, and having that as a source, a lot more eggs, dairy. Their only true vegetables were probably like rutabaga. They had rhubarb.
I mean, it's hard to eat that, Faroe Island salmon when it's in your backyard.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So all that was great,
like across the country, but like, if that's what you have, that's what you eat.
Yep. So that was kind of the approach that I took, and, kind of like using my Viking laws and planning my attack and kitchen tools and all that sort of thing. So it kind of made that a little bit of a fun narrative for me, is putting it together like that.
I love the idea that it's part art of war, part textbook, part instruction manual. Exactly. And I have to say, it was the brilliance of my formatter who actually made it look as good as it does, because she's truly brilliant. And I sent her all written stuff and said, make this look pretty. Well, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was gonna say, so like when someone cooks a recipe out of your book, what do you hope they experience?
Well, first and foremost, I hope it's like it's not a terrible process to cook. Not like, oh, this is so complicated. I want it to be easy, and then I want them to sit down with the plate and say, wow, this is good. If we can have those two things, I figure mission accomplished. It needs to be easy to make, and it needs to taste good.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to start for any cookbook. Obviously, there are cookbooks out there that have their niche, or, could be a Michelin star winning chef. And obviously, what you get when you're picking the book up. But I think if a book gets people to cook more, like, that's the accomplishment, right? I think it's really amazing. And, to your formatter's credit, this is stunning to look at. But I think the best design choice was putting the donuts right on the front. Because as soon as I opened this in the mail, I was like, ooh, donuts. Like, this looks amazing. Right. So
the focused group led by my editor, they in their internal meetings, they called it the come hither donut. I said, yeah, it's kind of what that looks like.
Because when I heard what the book was called, and then it was all about eating more vegetables, the last thing my brain said was donut. So I was like, ooh, I am instantly intrigued. I love this.
So So I got a few more questions. I mean, like, so this one's kind of like cookbook versus like the internet. Like, why should someone buy a cookbook instead of just like searched online? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think if your goal, like this is specifically bringing together recipes that will incorporate more vegetables into your diet. Can you go search for that? Probably. It'll take you a long time to assemble some good stuff, but if you want to spend hours searching, that's fun. Or doom scrolling like on social media, looking for those awesome pictures, and then you get so excited and you click on it and they give you half the ingredients or full ingredients but no instructions, and those get frustrating, and then you have to sign up for somebody's newsletter. And so sometimes just buying a cookbook completely assembled with all the instructions and everything you need, it's so much more convenient. Plus, me personally, I mean, I just love cookbooks, but for somebody who's looking to, spend a little more time in the kitchen or making a little bit dedicated effort to eat healthier, it's a huge convenience factor just to buy it all prepackaged.
Yeah. I like that.
Absolutely. I had just turned to the last page for the first time, and it's butternut squash molasses cookies, which I have everything to make. So those will be in a couple of days. I'm super excited. I always have molasses on hand, but never for what you think I would be using it for. I used it one time to make a cake darker because aesthetically I was like, I think this needs to be darker. And I've typically been using it to make light soy sauce into dark soy sauce for Korean recipes, but this sounds incredible. I remember I used to watch Jamie Oliver on PBS when he was the Naked Chef, and he would just film from his little studio there, just a little really simple kitchen. One of the things that I've seen him make kind of similar to these cookies was a muffin that started with an entire butternut squash thrown into the food processor.
Yeah.
Really, really amazing. But this has oats in it, which I'm also particularly fond of. So I had everything in the house to make this, and I am stoked. I can't wait.
Fabulous. They are very, very good.
I'm so excited.
And I had to try it with and without the frosting, but of course with the frosting, it's just next level for sure. Yeah.
Before we started recording that, my brother doesn't like frosting, so it was always interesting having a birthday cake so I'm a twin. It was always interesting having a birthday cake. It's like you can't order a birthday cake half unfrosted. They have to fill the other half so that it'll be like the same height as the other half. So cookies in recent years or whatever, if we were doing a joint birthday, but his loss, because the frosting's the best part.
I know, right?
The frosting's the best part. What was the most surprising recipe once you got it to work? Did you have anything that was just like a complete revelation to you?
That I was really surprised at how well it worked?
Yeah. Or you were like, I really just didn't think people would like it.
The spinach vanilla cake.
Really?
Yeah, because when I made that, I'm like, okay, I'm not 100% sure here. And I made it and frosted it, and we cut a slice, and I'm like, oh, wow, I need to make like 4 more of these. It was really, really good.
I can't wait. I love that you feature a crazy cake in here. I think I've mentioned it on this podcast before. You can also hear them called wacky cakes or depression cakes. It's almost every cake I make in my house doesn't have eggs, milk, or butter in it because I'm a single folk with a full career who doesn't keep those things in the house because they go bad and I forget they're here. But I can have cake anytime cake. So I love a crazy cake. Love it. And it's moist against all odds. Like it doesn't make sense how it comes out so moist, but it is.
Yeah, that's why they're magical.
It's so good. There's another version out there that you also might enjoy, Heidi, that is made with a full can of black beans puree.
Ooh.
And it's gluten-free, I believe. I don't know if that was the focus of it, but I've seen it more in recent weeks floating around the internet than I had before. And I was like, okay. So imagine the fiber and nutrients if you put beets and black beans together.
Oh, amazing. I need to go find that one.
So good. So, Heidi, what are you working on next? Do you have any projects in the works?
I am currently working on women's fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working my way through a series there. Midlife, because I don't think there are nearly enough authors out there that are writing women's fiction in midlife.
Yeah.
I think I'm sort of past the point where I want to read about a 20-something starting her life and finding love and everything's happily ever after. And when you get into your 50s and 60s, you start realizing life's more complicated than that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just real. It's just
It's
real life.
Yeah.
It's
Any
real and
advice
layered.
what's that?
It's real and layered.
Yeah, and layered.
Any advice for aspiring authors?
Oh, so much. Never think, wow, I can't do that. I've heard lots of young writers or older people who are young in the writing pursuit. I'm not good enough. Well, nobody's good enough in their first draft, you know. That's why we have editors. But migrating from being a storyteller to being an author, it takes practice. You just have to sit down and write and just do it. And sometimes you can share your work and get feedback, but it's perfectly okay to just hoard it and keep it until you're ready to release it to the world. But yeah, everybody has something that they want to say. Everybody has something of value to share. And I think writing is just a wonderful way to express yourself, to get your thoughts out and share with other people. And I encourage everybody to do it.
That's amazing. I've only written like short form poetry and prose and like a few short stories. I really thought I was going to be an English teacher, but I realized I don't like children and it doesn't pay well. And I like to eat and I like to cook. I like other people's children. Let me just disclaim that. Sorry. I wasn't content with having to control 50 or 60 of them at a time. But you know, it's interesting. I said the same thing when people were like, you should start a podcast. I don't have anything to say. There's other podcasts out there that talk about food. Nobody wants to hear me talk about food. Like, here we are, 149 episodes, 150 episodes later. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, whether no matter what you're doing creatively, whether it's a podcast or writing or something artistic, you know, you have something to say and there are people in the world who need to hear it. So sharing it, putting it out there, it may not touch somebody today, but it might touch somebody 5 years from now. And that's just as important.
That's
especially
beautiful.
for them.
Well, everybody wants to make something that will outlive them too.
Yeah.
So, or leave a legacy behind. Well, Heidi, what is the genre of the writing that you do? The women's fiction, like what would you consider?
It's contemporary fiction, more literary.
Okay.
Because I really just focus on midlife issues and try to stay true to that journey. I don't want to mess it up with the romance stuff. It's in there because it's part of life, but
sure. You can leave that to like the grocery store novels. That's what I call them.
Exactly. I like looking at things that are relevant to today and things that we've looked at for a while now. You know, am I hitting the glass ceiling? Is it the road not chosen? You know, you get stuck in that I'm too young to retire, but I'm too old to start over. And, you know, you have financial concerns, but then you have, I dedicated my life to work and I forgot to build a life. And, you know, just all those layered rich topics. Yeah. And they're just fabulous to explore. So I'm really enjoying doing that. And, along with everything else I do.
I love it. Heidi, what are you cooking this week?
Oh, this week, well, we're definitely doing some steaks. I think we're going to do a pork roast one day. You just can't beat that on the grill. And probably, I don't know. I think there may be a cake or two. Now that we've been talking about that, we may have to make some of that.
We're adults. We could do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because you kind of need it in the house because you never know when guests are going to stop by. And, if you
Or-
offer coffee, you
Or
need off.
even if they never come over, like you can just have cake because you're
Yeah.
allowed.
Because we're adults.
I turned 40 last year, and I found that so many more things are on the table. Like I didn't usually used to keep a lot of sweets in the house, but now I'm like, well, if I want something, I'll make it, and I'll make sure it's something really good, and then I'll eat it, and there won't be any guilt attached to it. Like I can just have it here because that's what I like having here. And so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Amazing. Steve, what are you cooking this week?
What am I cooking this week? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not even sure. I haven't thought that far.
Mm.
I've just been doing a lot of meal prep, so it's the usual: your chicken, your sweet potatoes, your broccoli. That's been my staple for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Until you get sick of it and you can't look at it anymore.
And then you eat it some
switch to
more
something
because
else.
it's good for you.
I have some chicken curry meatballs on the horizon that I'm probably adding lentils to because I need to use them up. So sneaky vegetable there. And then probably some stuffed grape leaves. Like a coworker was kind enough to gift me a jar of grape leaves and a recipe. I just haven't decided how I'm going to tackle them yet. But some sort of rice, some sort of vegetable, some sort of meat inside. I'll clean out the freezer. So lots and lots of potatoes need to be eaten between now and then too. I cooked for a group on Sunday night and did a baked potato bar. I think there were 5 potatoes left. Each one is the size of my face. So probably a stuffed baked potato every day and then something else to go with it. So well, Heidi, we had a blast talking to you today. Where can people find your cookbook?
It is available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple. Yep. We have it in hardcover, paperback, ebook, and we also made a lower cost version. So we do have a paperback that's in black and white.
Fun.
Wow.
Yeah. So we decided to make it available to everyone. So wherever you like to buy your cookbook or your paperback books or ebooks, we've got it out there.
Yeah, wherever finer books are sold. I love it.
Yeah, there you go.
Heidi, this was a blast. Stick around right after we stop recording. I'll get a little bit more information from you. Otherwise, for Heidi and Steve, I'm Melissa, and we got to go. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.